Welcome to Power Shift Day 3, everyone. Please find your seats. We're going to get started in 1 minute. So if your friends aren't here, text or call them. Let them know to get here in 1 minute. Have your seats. Thanks so much.
Made it through the whole conference, huh? And stayed? Yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much for coming out this weekend. I want to just take a quick step back and talk a little bit about the history of Energy Action Coalition and kind of where we're coming from as we move into this weekend and now out of it. So Energy Action Coalition was founded in 2006. There was young people at that time all over the country working on climate issues on their campus, but no one was connected. It was really disparate and all over the place. And so a bunch of folks came together and said, let's form a movement for climate change, and a movement that is rooted in justice and in environmental justice. And so we sat in a room for about 3 days, this huge facilitated conversation, lots of this, and ended up saying, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna build a movement. So I went home, and I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, we're going to build a movement. And she was like, oh, that's cute. That's a nice thing to think. But in fact, now we have, and we are. Now when I call my mom, she's like, you all need a manifesto, and you need to take to the streets. And I agree with her. And since we founded Energy Action Coalition in 2006, we've had so many successes, and we've learned so much about what it means to build a movement for environmental justice, right? It's a really complex conversation, and that's the conversation we really wanted to have this weekend with this power shift, because we really think this is a critical time for all of us still in the movement and new to the movement to be coming together and saying, okay, we've learned a lot the last couple of years. Some stuff is working really, really well. There's things that the environmental movement is doing that are succeeding, right? Beyond our wildest imaginations. And then there are things where we're falling flat still. And we need to figure that out. We need to figure that out quickly. And so that's really why we wanted to have Power Shift outside of DC, here in Pittsburgh, to really bring our folks together without kind of the craziness of a shutdown government in the background, to really talk about what we're doing as a movement. And I think this weekend, as I was wandering the halls, I didn't get really into many sessions, I was hearing a lot about criticisms of the environmental movement, and how the history of the environmental movement has been hard, and also so much exciting ideas and hope and optimism for how we all move forward. And so I just want to thank you all to kind of coming into this space with so much integrity and really having those conversations in a really real way. And I think the other big piece of Power Shift that we wanted to change this year was really trying to bring out kind of how a movement for climate justice isn't just kind of a siloed thing that some people work on that really care about the environment, but how it really intersects with a lot of other movements that are out there fighting for justice. So I just want to also thank everybody who came here. Climate change isn't their main thing, or the environment isn't their main thing, but they came to this space to learn about what we're doing and to also share their stories. So I think that was a huge part of this year's Power Shift, and I'm just really, really excited for what came out of that. And I think I've been in the climate movement now for about, I don't know, I can't do math, it's been a long couple of days, but for about 8 years, not that difficult or complex math. And I think right now I'm seeing across the board kind of a lot of us in the environmental movement realizing that we need to change. And I just think it's really important for all of us within the youth climate movement to acknowledge that we still have a ways to go. And so I just want to really appreciate everybody for being with us at this time as we are learning how to move forward. And I think you can see that in little ways throughout the weekend. Some things are really gracefully done, right? And we have figured out some of this intersectionality already. And then there's still some areas where it's like, how do we do this? What are we doing? What does that mean even? How do we bring it all together? I don't know, a panel. And so just thanks. And I think, one thing in particular that we realized even this weekend was that we originally intended to be very regimented so we could stay on schedule. And then ended up cutting off some great speakers, so I want to apologize about that and change the whole program to make sure that nobody else was cut off after Friday night. And apologies for that. So kind of as we move forward, how do we keep this conversation going, and what does the work look like? And for me, I think we have a lot of power. And at the last power shift, we had ended up having a meeting with the President Obama, and for a number of reasons, we ended up having like 11 folks in the room, and we had this huge back and forth with the administration about whether or not they were going to stand up and save the EPA's budget. It was during one of these like terrible budget fights that keep happening. And we ended up in this meeting. It was a really long conversation. The president said he was going to stay for 5 minutes and ended up staying for 35 minutes. We got into a conversation actually about environmental justice and climate justice and what that means and why natural gas is not a good solution. And at the end, he said, okay, your job is to push me, and my job is to govern, and your job is to push me. And so we went out there and we've been doing that a ton. And I think as we move forward, we have to figure out how do we not just push the president, which we have to keep doing, but how do we push our campuses to divest, really, really and truly divest from the fossil fuel industry? And how do we push our communities to truly be leaders and get to 100% clean energy as fast as is possible, because that is absolutely what we need? How do we stop fracking? How do we push these fossil fuel companies to a place where they are so isolated in the public dialogue and the public eye that they are considered worse than the tobacco industry, worse than any other nasty-ass industry? These guys have to go. And how do we do that? Which is a lot of things to do that are challenging. Big campaigns against a lot of power, vested interests. Fossil fuel industry is the biggest industry in the world. How do we fight that industry and simultaneously change the environmental movement to be the movement that reflects our generation and reflects the generations that are coming after us? And so this is a huge task ahead of us. And I think all of us in this room, will be able to look back hopefully in 50, 60 years and say, damn, we did it, right? We beat the fossil fuel industry back, but not only did we do that, we also reclaimed our democracy and made sure that people power was first. We also had the whole paradigm of our country pivot more towards justice than corporate interests, and we're living in a world where there's 100% clean energy, which is totally doable, right? Totally doable if we just put our minds to it. And so I just felt like I'm really excited for the kind of, like I said, I wish I was able to go to more sessions, but I've been hearing little trickles of conversation, and I'm really, really excited for all the great work that's been happening this weekend. I'm really, really excited at Energy Action Coalition to support what all of you want to do moving forward. We're going to be sending out surveys and all sorts of stuff like that, so please tell us. We actually read them and we share them with our coalition partners. And just want to let y'all know that this conference has been a year and a half in the making. We started planning this conference with 30 organizations in February of 2010, when we decided, okay, yeah, let's have another power shift. Let's do that. Let's keep this going. And so the Partners of Energy Action Coalition, awesome group of people that are just so dedicated to making sure that this space is built and that young people are at the forefront of the climate movement, and are also leading the climate movement and changing the environmental movement and helping and pushing us to win on these issues. So huge thanks to Energy Action Coalition partners. Let's give them a round of applause. I also really want to thank the staff of Energy Action Coalition, which we call our central staff team of the coalition. And so we have had folks working day in and day out on everything from making sure the stage was here, to making sure y'all had chairs, to making sure electricity was on, to making sure that the panels reflected the movement we want to be building, to making sure the keynotes were right. And the staff at Energy Action Coalition are amazing. I couldn't imagine working with better people. And every single decision from the website and how that's designed, to the scholarship process, to, like I said, this stage, they do with our mission in mind, which is to build a movement, a youth movement for a clean, just, and sustainable world. And they never let that mission falter. They never push that aside. And so they really are dedicated to that. And so please just give them a round of applause because they're awesome. So tonight, we're going to be talking a lot about the Keystone XL pipeline fight. And that's a really interesting fight because it's one of the first times we might win on climate at the national level. And it's something our movement picked to fight on. We said, we're going to stop this pipeline, and we've been busting ass to try to do that ever since. And we might win, and it looks like we could win easily. And I just want to acknowledge that this is one fight. It's a fight that we think is really important at Energy Action Coalition, but we also know it is not the only fight, and that there are critical fights, and we're really excited after Power Shift to figure out how do we win on Keystone, how do we win on everything else that's happening, because it's not just Keystone, it is everything. So I really want folks to kind of figure out how do we kind of hold this space, right, where we know there are so many fights happening, and then tonight's about Keystone. And so really kind of dive in, learn, because we've learned a lot as a movement from the Keystone fight. It's been a huge learning experience for our movement, which we're going to be talking about. So really just kind of dive in and figure out how do we win on this, and what are the ways that this fight, what did it teach us? What can we use from the Keystone fight? What worked, what didn't work for other fights moving forward? And so that's something I'm really excited about for the next hour and a half, just kind of sit back and reflect on that as folks who have been really integral in some of the Keystone fight pieces have talked about it. And so with that in mind, I'm going to introduce Reverend Yearwood from the Hop Caucus. He's going to kick off the night. Thanks, everyone.
One, two, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Power shift. Ho, DJ. Hold on. Let's have a little quick talk before we get started. How y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? So, I came a long way to get here. And you guys are the most important people in this room right now. Some of y'all got that in the front row. No, all jokes aside, you know, y'all, when I was on the side stage, we're going to have a discussion. We're going to discuss this great piece here, then with how we're stopping the Keystone XL pipeline. And when we get into this, I know how serious this moment is. The reality is that, you know, in the 20th century, they fought for equality. And in the 21st century, we're fighting for existence. So that means is that if you and me fail to stop the fossil fuel industry, to not speed up the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy, the generation behind us don't exist. So this is not a game. So in that, I recognize, being Rev Yearwood, president of the Hip Hop Caucus, that to do what we got to do, then we're gonna have to put everything that we got in this moment so that if you get tired down the road, you can look back to this moment and be encouraged. So if you, for that kind of experience, make some noise. Okay. If you, for stopping the fossil fuel industry, stand to your feet and make some noise. Okay. If you tired of TransCanada trying to build that lousy pipeline, make some noise. DJ Rod, hold on, I need some help. So I kind of feel like, y'all kind of feel like moving today? Y'all kind of feel like moving a little bit? Y'all feel like moving back in the back? DJ Ron, drop that. Okay, hold on. I need, okay, oh, that's all right. Okay, here we go. Now, this is a group effort. So group effort. So when my hand goes this way, you go that way. Here we go. Hands up. Okay. Yeah, okay. Stop. Hold on. Y'all got to do a little better than that now. This is being live streamed. All right? So we got to show some excitement so the world can see that we serious. So let's try it again. So come on, drop that. Here we go, come on. Stop. We're gonna go with that light, hold on. Link arms with your neighbor, link arms. Everybody link arms. So if you don't like TransCanada, make some noise. If you don't like TransCanada, make some noise. If you want to stop the Keystone Pipeline, make some noise. So I need you to feel that. When this beat drops, you're gonna, because some of y'all, real quick, some of y'all, I know how TransCanada and the fossil fuel works. I know y'all sent some folks here to this meeting. I know that there's some folks here from TransCanada and from BP and from Shell. And right now, I did it on purpose because now you linked in with us. So I know you probably, and you can't blow your cover right now because you linked in. So when this drops, and I'm gonna get real gritty. When this drops, I want you to feel it, right? On the count of 3, we're gonna make some noise. 1, 2, make some noise! Come on, rock! That is a rock, come on, rock! Come here. Ho. Okay, we have to come back to that. No, hold on. Y'all gonna try. Give me some Chief. Give me some Chief Keef. You got that? Yes, some Chief. Let's do this. Rock. Here we go. Come on, let's go. When I say TransCanada, you say I don't like. Don't say the curse word. All right. TransCanada. Oh, y'all right now. TransCanada. Here we go, TransCanada. Yeah! TransCanada. BP oil. Shell gas. Keystone pipelines. Come on. Keystone pipelines. Fossil fuels. fracking all around, mountaintop removal, all gas and coal. No, make some noise. Stay on your feet. Yeah, go ahead and clap, Stay on your feet. Yeah, y'all ready now. Y'all are ready now. So this way it's gonna work. Let me go through. Woo, I feel all right now. Y'all feel all right? All right, so y'all gotta keep the same energy up the whole time. Y'all can do it for me? All right, so when the speakers come out, you gotta make some noise like it's a rock concert. As much as you can, try and stay on your feet. We're gonna rock this thing tonight. Y'all with that? All right, real quick, real big solidarity. I almost forgot this. You should be getting some yarn. Y'all getting yarn? Y'all got that? So hold on to that's not for flossing. That's not for flossing. Hold on to it. We're going to come back to that. So the way this works, it's going to be in 3 parts. Act 1, we're going to discuss the KXL campaign story and how we went from a little-known or understood pipeline fight to a global campaign that is now rocking the world and it's become the largest campaign in environmental history. Y'all ready for Act 1? Okay. Act 2 is going to be the KXL and the climate, and we're going to discuss how basic climate arguments against the KXL pipeline takes aims at the president's test. Ready for Act 2? Okay, Act 3, we're going to kind of go into what's next, like the 15 minutes to engage a crowd in person at home and how to take part in this campaign. Let me say this to you. I bring up Crystal. Yo, I love y'all. I really do. I really love y'all. No, I really do. Because y'all are modern day freedom fighters. And I know how hard, when I was out there, how hard it was to leave campus, doing homework in the lobby, trying to make things work, spending your last dime on just trying to get around. I know, but I'm gonna tell you this. What we got here, we will crush the fossil fuel industry. And what we got here is because of you and you and you. We will stop this KXL pipeline. But right now, we're gonna have so much energy. We're gonna make it happen. We gotta keep that, right now, I'm sorry, you might embarrass yourself, might cry, snot from your nose, I don't know what's going on. But whatever you got going on, today, you gotta really let loose today. Because today, today's our day to stop the Keystone Pipeline. Y'all with that? So right now, come to the stage. Make some noise for Crystal Lameman from Beaver Lake Creek First Nation activist, a Sierra Club Perry activist, and the Peace River Tar Sands campaign for Indigenous Environmental Network in Alberta, Canada. Come on, make some noise!
That's it. Hello. I'm a member of the Beaver Lake Cree Nation. First and foremost, before I start, I want to give a shout out to my kids who are watching on live stream. I love you, Gray Sky. I love you, Gina. Secondly, I want to acknowledge the original inhabitants of what is now known as Pennsylvania. The Erie, the Iroquois, Lenape, Munsee, and the Shawnee. I also want to give a shout out to my brothers and sisters from IEN, to Haskell, Gananaskumtin. I'm grateful to you. Water. From the north to the east, to the south, to the west. That's what this is about. What's the one thing that connects each and every one of us in this world, looking beyond race, color, and creed? Water. Water gives life. Water is life. Without water, we will no longer exist. And this industry, along with its puppets, will do anything to get that bitumen out of the ground. Now, I'm no artist, I can draw stickmen, but I'm here to paint a picture. A picture of a people who are born into poverty, living in third world conditions in a first world country, surrounded by wealthy territory. Every single thing a human being needs to survive belonging to them, but being raped and pillaged. An area the size of Florida completely desecrated. The revenue going into the hands of its oppressors. A government of the world's 1% of fresh water. Now, I'm not here to talk about greenhouse gas emissions, climate change, science. There's enough people following me that will address that. I'm here to tell you that people are dying. Cancer rates are rising. Deformities are being reported. And I can't stand here and confirm that any of this in its entirety is true. All I can tell you is that it's a reality, and we're living it. And if you breathe air and you drink water, this is about you. This is beyond race, color, and creed. When is it okay that human beings have to stand on the front lines, putting their lives in danger for their basic human rights to drink clean water, to ensure that their rights are being honored and protected right now? Houston's own Southwestern Energy. There's folks in here from Houston. Y'all got a responsibility when you go home. Because right now, they're encroaching on the traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people in New Brunswick. Elderly people being sprayed in the face with pepper spray by Harper's demand, sending out 200 RCMP officers to raid a peaceful camp of people armed with drums and feathers, medicines of our people. A people violently attacked because of fracking and tar sands and greed. But what can you do about it? I want y'all to keep following at Idle No More 4, and I want you to take out your cell phones right now. And I want you to tweet a solidarity message to that community. And then I want you to tell the Canadian government how wrong this is, that they are violating human rights. That's your responsibility. Power shift. Do you think Obama should be making deals with a government that would order the violent assault on innocent, peaceful people? I didn't think so. Because remember, Harper We'll do whatever it takes to get that bitumen out of the ground and transport it to every corner of what we call Mother Earth. Now I have a message for Obama. Obama, our one true mother was here before us, and when she shakes us from us like fleas, she will exist without us. When we are shaken from her like fleas, she's going to exist. She's going to continue existing without us. Now I have children. You have children. Our blessings on loan to us by the Creator. We brought them into this world, and it is our responsibility to ensure their basic human rights are not violated. And I'm going to say the same thing to you that I said to you in February. First Nations people have the constitutional power to stop these pipelines and this dirty oil. Look at Enbridge's recent decision to postpone due to the uprising, and the Beaver Lake Cree Nation's historically precedent-setting lawsuit. First Nations people did that, and many people are joining in solidarity. Because they see what the government can't ignore any longer. We're here and we are not going anywhere. We were born warriors, Mother Earth soldiers. We will no longer be economic hostages, and we will no longer allow the governments to play environmental roulette with our lives. When I say power, you say shift. Power. Power! 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 What does power shift look like? This is what power shift look like. Hi, thank you.
Yo, give it up for Crystal. Hold on. Give it up. Make some noise. Come on, hold on. Make some noise for Crystal. Coming up next. Y'all sit down too quick. Give it up. This young lady here, Helen Winston, is a 16-year-old activist from Omaha, Nebraska, who's been fighting the Keystone XL pipeline. So when she comes up, 16, y'all. I know some of y'all 20, 18. Still, she's 16. So when she comes, I need y'all to go crazy. All right? So we'll try that. So I'm gonna give her the intro. Ready? She wants the hip hop intro. Ready? Are y'all ready? Coming all the way from Omaha, Nebraska, fighting the Keystone XL pipeline. Make some noise for Helen Winston!
How y'all doing, Power Shift? It's my people, man. These are my people. So, as many of y'all know, I'm Helen Winston. I'm 16 years old. I go to Millard South High School in Omaha, Nebraska, and it's been a long 3 years since I joined this fight. 3 years where I've said my share of words and I've met a lot of good folk. 3 years in which a vapid little teenager has been transformed into a young woman that is proud to stand before you today. They've been a good 3 years, but they're hard won. I remember the first time my dad told me that these Canadian mooks were gonna run the nastiest oil on this planet through something precious. Even at 13, I knew that no one in their right state of mind would want to threaten an ecosystem that so many depend upon. Rolling hills of grass jutting out of sand dunes, green pastures, golden cornfields, and the beating heart of the Great Plains, the Ogallala Aquifer. It's not a New York skyline, ladies and gentlemen, but to me, it's paradise. There are people who spend their entire lives in that paradise, tending to hundreds of cattle at a time and planting thousands of crops. They know the price of mistreating this earth. Those ranchers and farmers live and die by their land. So imagine that your entire way of life is being threatened by a land agent in a $1,000 suit as they eye your land like a hunk of beef to snack on. Those ranchers and farmers are at the edge of their hope, at the end of their time, and yet they choose to dig deep and hold firm. But they do not have to stand alone. In Nebraska, we're not in the business of leaving our neighbors to be beaten into a corner. We can feel you standing with us, just as our brothers and sisters in Alberta can feel us standing with them. TransCanada created its own enemy. Do you think that people like Randy Thompson and Suze Luby would have gone after such a gigantic corporation if they hadn't been threatened? I'm gonna let you all in on a little secret. Don't mess with ranchers and farmers from Nebraska. They're good, honest, hard-working people backed up against the wall, but hell would freeze over before they went down without a fight. If you'd have asked me at 14 after I'd first testified at the State Department hearing in Lincoln whether or not we could win, I'd have said, hell yeah, we'll win. But now I'm not so sure. After all these years, I can't say that with absolute certainty. I don't know if we'll win or not. TransCanada is very influential, and they've tricked a lot of people into believing their message. But I'll be damned if I don't look at y'all sitting here and feel hope stirring in my heart. TransCanada has connections and money, but we have power. We fight for the planet that will soon be taken care of. We fight for clean air and breathable and drinkable water. We fight for the right to exist, to have our voices heard over the cacophony of political bullshit. We raise our voices, not our fists, high as we speak out against injustice. Our footsteps make the foundations of that evil corporation quake as we march together. Our hands intertwine as we bow our heads in silent prayer. We are the future. We are many peoples. We are a nation. We are a movement so great it can only be described as tectonic. And should the president make the wrong decision, a shockwave will run itself around the world. Hell hath no fury compared to the fire burning in our hearts. I gotta tell you, I don't know what's coming next, but whatever it is, I know we'll be ready to face it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer said, "There's one thing on this earth more powerful than evil, and that is us." Thank you.
Come on, y'all can do better. Make some noise. 350.org. Making it happen. Make some noise for Bill McKibben!
All right, so much. It is so good for me to get to be here for my fourth of these power shifts that I've gotten to come to. And this one is the most amazing yet. What a pleasure to follow Helen. Nebraska's been the proving ground on this Keystone fight. Its leaders are always inspiring me, and what a pleasure to get to be on the stage with Crystal Lameman. The indigenous community on this continent has been the leader in this Keystone fight from the start to the finish. When I first heard about Keystone, the very first person I called was my friend Clayton Thomas Muller at the Indigenous Environmental Network. It's been so much fun to work with him and so many others. Reuben George on the BC coast, and Melina Lubican Massimo in Alberta, and Chief Phil Lane in the High Plains, and Bill Erasmus of the Dene and Yellowknife, and on and on and on, just an almost endless list. The fight over Keystone's been led by Native North Americans. They were followed by ranchers and farmers along the proposed route, people like Helen, like Randy Thompson, by great organizers like Jane Klebb from Bold, Nebraska. Our role in the kind of climate movement was to help come into play behind them. And we were summoned by Jim Hansen, our greatest climate scientist, when he famously warned 2 years ago that if we pumped the tar sands dry, it would be game over for the climate. So since that border crossing, and hence the northern section of Keystone required a presidential permit, we figured the White House was the place to go. It was time to see if Barack Obama was mostly talk on climate change or if he was willing to stand up to the fossil fuel industry. So some of us, Naomi Klein and Wendell Berry and Danny Glover and Tom Goldtooth and Maura Cowley and others, wrote a letter asking people to come to D.C. and get arrested. And to the surprise of a lot of people, including the fossil fuel industry, 1,253 Americans went to jail, the biggest civil disobedience action about anything in 30 years in this country. Now, plenty of you were there, and it's a delight to see some of you out in this crowd. In fact, I remember one of the turning points of that whole thing was when some former young Obama campaign staffers went off to jail. People like Courtney Height, who risked all kinds of pressure, who put their resumes on hold, who didn't go to sort of collect their reward for being on the winning team, but instead said, we got into this political fight for a reason, and the reason is not that we care about our jobs, the reason is that we care about our planet. That 2 weeks of civil disobedience was a good moment. It was one of those moments when the environmental movement became a movement again, not just a collection of Washington-based organizations. Around the country, indeed around the world, people took up the cause. Whenever the president went anywhere, there were crowds, especially young people, greeting him chanting, "Yes, we can, stop the pipeline." They surrounded the White House shoulder to shoulder, 5 deep, 2 years ago almost to the day, demanding that he live up to the promises from 2008. And so far, that northern section of the pipeline's not been built. What was a done deal has come undone. And for 2 years, thanks to you guys, that's kept 900,000 barrels of oil a day in the ground. Which is not to say that it's been a victory. For one thing, despite the brave efforts of tar sands blockade and many others, the southern half of the pipeline is being built. I just saw my friend Sherry Foytland backstage, who's been working so hard to try and stop this. That is a powerful assault not only on the people whose land and farms have been taken in Texas and Oklahoma, but also on the people of places like Port Arthur on the Gulf Coast, who will get to breathe the air fouled by the increased refining, people who've been living with pollution for decades. We have to keep fighting that section too as best ever we can. And we have no real idea what Barack Obama will do about the northern half of all of this. His announcement this summer that he would block Keystone if it increased carbon emissions was welcome. If he follows that standard in good faith, he can't possibly approve the pipeline. But Washington is full of people who do not act in good faith, who twist science and law to the service of wealth and of power, okay? So we got to work hard. We got to keep up the fight. And not only at this point because of the vast amount of carbon in those tar sands, not just because of that, though that's always been the bottom line. This has also, thanks to you, become the iconic environmental fight of our time. And when you're in that kind of fight, you need to win them. If the president does the right thing, he'd be the first world leader ever to block a project because of its effect on the climate. That would matter. It might be enough. It might be enough. It might be enough to help reopen those floundering international negotiations about global warming that went aground in Copenhagen, in Denmark in 2009. I hope some of you will be in Paris in 2015, and I hope that something happens there, because something's gotta happen fast. Something's gotta happen fast. The sadness, the pain of what we see going on around the world now on an almost daily basis, it's just sometimes almost too much. Every day, someplace there's record temperature, record wildfire, record drought, record flood, all the things that we've set in motion by changing the atmosphere of this earth, and it all affects very real people. We heard last week from our 350.org leader in the Philippines, and she said that her daughter had been taken to the hospital that day with dengue fever, the fastest growing infectious disease around the world, because the mosquito that spreads it, Aedes aegypti, is flourishing on the warm, wet world that we have built for it. It is not all right for little kids to be going to the hospital with dengue fever so that people like TransCanada can make more money. It's just not okay. And there are days when I think, oh, this is too hard, and they're too strong and too rich, and they are way too rich. I mean, Exxon made more money last year than any company in the history of money. That's not okay either, because the reason they make so much money is because they're the only industry that's allowed to pollute for free, to pour their trash out into the atmosphere, to treat the planet like an open sewer. There are days when I despair about it, days when I'm in Washington and you see the cynicism and the corruption that goes on there. But there are other days, and this is high on the list, when I am full of hope. Along the way, this fight, the last few years, this fight that you all are a huge part of, it's revealed something that's really important, and that's the shape of this new movement. Our movement's not based around charismatic leaders or big organizations, though we have a few charismatic leaders. Reverend Yearwood is pretty much off the charts, you gotta say. And we do have amazing groups that are helping with the fight. The Sierra Club and the NRDC and on and on and on have played key roles. But mostly, this is a different kind of movement. It's a movement that looks kind of the way we want the energy system to look like in a few years. Not a few big power plants, but hundreds and millions of solar panels on rooftops all over the world, all hooked together. That's what our movement looks like. We saw that a few weeks ago when people in 215 cities in 47 states helped draw the line against Keystone. We've seen it when 800,000 people, a new record, emailed their senators in a single day. We've seen it in the more than 1 million comments sent to the State Department. We've seen it in the 75,000 people that Credo has enlisted to pledge civil disobedience should the pipeline be okayed. And we've seen it not just in the fight around the pipeline, because important as that is, and important as the fights against mountaintop removal and coal ports on the Pacific and all of that are, all of those in the end are playing defense. We've got to play defense, but it's more fun to play offense, you know? And that's why it is so exciting to see students on 380 college campuses who have taken up this divestment fight, to see the news, to see that study from Oxford University last week saying that thanks to you, this is the fastest growing divestment fight in history. I'm glad I've gotten to be a part of this fight, not lead it, but participate in it and watch it grow. I've seen the emergence of the kind of resistance that we need to really take on this industry. That industry is big and sprawling. Its tentacles are everywhere. That's why we need to be everywhere. You are the people putting this industry on the defensive. When you work for things like divestment, it makes it damn harder for them to do bad things like Keystone. It's all linked together. It is all one fight. I do not know if we are going to win that fight, but I do know we're going to fight. I see it every day, all over the world. And when Reverend Yearwood said that y'all are the freedom fighters, he was not engaging in hyperbole. He meant every word that he said. This is the biggest fight, the fight for a workable climate that anyone in our species has ever had to take on in all of human history. And you guys are the center of it. You are the people who will make sure that there is a future on this earth. Thank you so much for all you do.
Come on, you can do better than that. Give it for Bill McKibben. So the live stream is going crazy. People are watching saying, wow, they're having so much fun. So to get ready for our next speaker, I need you to start saying power shift. You with me? Real low and get loud. Ready? Power shift. Folks from MIT, listen. That's a joke. No, don't get mad. MIT can be, you want to tweet Rev Yearwood. You don't talk about MIT. Here we go. Power shift. All right, let's do like this. This section, let's see who's the hype section. Power shift. Good. Power shift. Okay. Y'all not bad. Over here. Power shift. They not bad. Here we go. So when I point at you, we're going to get going. Oh, in the fourth row. Over there. Power shift. Those are folks going to do civil disobedience force right there. That's our unruly crew. So we got 4 power shifts. Here we go. Let's get ready. Ready? Here we go. Louder! Louder! Everybody! Now, we're going to jump this thing out. When I go down, we jump power shift. Ready? Here we go. Come on. There you go. Come on. 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 Coming to the stage right now. Come on. Y'all are ready now. Coming up right now. Act 2. Make some noise from the Energy Action Coalition. Tall Sags organizer. Make some noise for Kendall Mackey.
What an amazing weekend we've had together. Before I start, I want everyone who brought 5 people to Power Shift to put their hand in the air. All right, everyone that brought 10 people to Power Shift, keep your hand in the air. Yeah? All right, those who brought more than 25 folks to Power Shift, keep your hand in the air. I want everyone to give it up for all the amazing organizers who made Power Shift happen this year. tribe known as the Waorani and their fight against an oil company at the time called Texaco. And Texaco, for years, had been intentionally dumping toxic waste into their rivers and streams and dumping billions of gallons of crude oil, polluting not only the land that they were living on, but the communities, and impacting their health. So I'm reading this book about this tribe sitting in a hostel in Quito, and a guy comes over to me and he's like, hey, did you know that the man on the cover of that book is sitting at the table over there? And I look over and it's Moy, the leader of the Waorani tribe in the Amazon. So I stand up, I walk over and I introduce myself, and the next thing I know, I'm sitting across from him at dinner, and he's telling me the most amazing stories about the organizing that's being done to fight this oil giant in the Amazon rainforest. And at the end of the meal, I looked at him and I said, Moy, what can I do? And he said to me, you can go home and you can tell your friends, your family, and your government about what's going on down here. And the next morning, I'm writing about this experience in my journal, and I realized this is something I could keep to myself. I could write it down, close up my journal, and never think about it again, or I could decide to do something about it. And that's when I committed myself to fighting oil companies who are destroying communities all over the world. That's what put me on the path that I'm on today. That's what got me to Power Shift, and that's why I'm working for Energy Action Coalition to fight tar sands. As we all know, oil exploitation is not something that's just happening somewhere else. It's happening right here at home and in Canada. And President Obama has said that he would not approve Keystone XL if it didn't pass his climate test. So here's what we're gonna do. Tonight, right now, you and I are gonna take the Keystone XL climate test. Are you ready? Yeah. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask y'all a question, and you're gonna tell me whether or not Keystone XL and tar sands pass or fail Obama's climate test. And here's the thing. I'm gonna need y'all to be really loud. Like, loud enough so that Obama down in DC can hear what you're saying. Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? All right. Let me just get out. He sent me this test, so let me pull it out. Okay. The first question, tar sands oil doesn't have significantly higher emissions than regular crude oil. Pass or fail? Let me hear you one more time. You're right. Tar sands emits 3 times more carbon into the atmosphere than conventional crude oil. All right, next question. Keystone XL won't add significant amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Pass or fail? You're right again, it fails. Over its 50-year life, the tar sands pipeline would add an additional 1.2 billion metric tons of carbon pollution than if it was carrying conventional crude oil. All right, third question. You guys are doing really well. If Keystone XL isn't built, tar sands will be transported to the Gulf Coast by rail. Pass or fail? All right, one more time. Fail. Transporting tar sands by rail is more expensive, making tar sands prohibitively more expensive. All right, last question. Tar sands will be exported even if Keystone XL isn't built. Pass or fail? All right, this one's really important. Pass or fail? That's true. As we already heard, Canadian tar sands has not been moved, led by First Nations, on either side of the Canadian East or West Coast. All right. President Obama stood in front of the American people and said that if Keystone XL failed his climate test, that he would not approve it. And as we just showed, the Keystone XL does as poorly as I did on my standardized test in high school. It doesn't make the grade, and it shouldn't be built. While making sure Keystone XL doesn't get built is the first step in our fight against tar sands, let's get real, it's not the only tar sands fight going on right now. You can ask Chloe Gleichman, who's in the audience, working in Michigan to stop the Enbridge expansion that would destroy the Great Lakes, and has been spending countless hours with Michigan Coalition Against Tar Sands to make sure that that project does not move forward. Or Judith, who we heard from on Friday, who talked about the struggles that refinery communities are facing as extractive industries are coming in and continuing to poison their communities. Or you can just ask the people in Arkansas and North Dakota who recently have discovered what it means to have tar sands spilling in their backyards. It's clear that our fight against tar sands isn't over, and we've got a lot of work to do. But if anyone has the power to keep the tar sands in the ground, if there's anyone that's going to win this fight, it's the people in this room. In the last year, I've seen amazing young people take direct action in places like Michigan. Take Chris, for example, who spent his birthday last year literally skateboarding down a construction site, stopping the construction of an Enbridge pipeline, and keeping a climate-destroying infrastructure project from moving forward for one more day. Or Sean Carland, a student from Maine who spent his entire summer going door to door, making sure that Mainers get on election day and end the threat of tar sands to the Northeast. And the thousands of people who put their bodies on the line in front of the White House to stop Keystone XL, which at the time was considered a done deal in Washington, D.C., and has turned it into the zombie pipeline that is all but dead today, were mainly college students, many of whom were in the room and spent countless hours organizing for Power Shift this year. From Richmond, California, where they've seen the devastating effects of an overcapacity refinery, to Houston, Texas, communities are fighting back to stop tar sands, and we are making a difference. With a slight shift in our priorities, we as a country can move away from the energy paradigm that we're on today and onto a path of clean energy where Crystal's community and Helen's community and Moya's community and my community are no longer at the thumb of the extractive industry. Today, we have a choice. Either tar sands move forward, taking our climate and our communities with it, or we do. Instead of pipelines and refineries crisscrossing and dotting our country from the East Coast to the West Coast, from Canada to the Gulf, if we band together and work harder than we've ever worked before, we'll get the clean energy infrastructure of tomorrow that we so desperately need for our climate, our community, and the economy. So here's what we're gonna do. Between now and November 16th, we're gonna build thousands of climate legacy time capsules. These time capsules are gonna be buried along the pipeline route from Alberta to the Gulf to show the president and the tar sands industry writ large that we are not going to let them move forward in bringing that dirty energy through this country. Now you may be wondering, what is a climate legacy time capsule? So let's bring one out. Give it up for Andrew, everybody. Thank you. I'll hold it. This climate legacy time capsule has been with us all weekend, and in it, it holds our climate victories, hopes, and dreams that we've built together over the last 3 days. When you go home and make your own climate legacy time capsule, it can be as easy as gathering up all of the flyers from the events that you put on your campus and in your community, stuffing them in a beer bottle, and sending them to me in Washington, D.C. And when we get them, we're going to put them on display so that every leader, every level of government gets to see it. And then when the ground thaws, we're going to bury it along the pipeline route so that if President Obama is serious about building this pipeline, he's going to have to he's going to have to dig up our climate legacy and bury his own. So if you're in to make a climate legacy time capsule and send it to me, if you're in to take down the tar sands industry, and if you're in it for the long haul, I need you to get out of your seat. This is so amazing. I will see you all in the streets tomorrow. Thank you so much. And a quick note, if you want to volunteer for the action, please meet at 9 a.m. at Allegheny Landing. Thank you so much.
Come on, y'all. Make some notes with Kendall. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Y'all get to bed now. Come on, make some noise, y'all. So I forgot something here that's real important. There's some activists who are in Russia, the Arctic 30. And my brothers and sisters from Greenpeace, they're holding it down right now. So I know we're not in Russia, but I just need you to kind of put your fist in the air. And is there house lights? Is there house lights? All right. I guess they want to. Okay, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I want you to put your fist in the air. I want you to say, "Free the Arctic 30! Free the Arctic 30! Free the Arctic 30! Free the Arctic 30! Let somebody scream!" That's what's up. That's what's up. No, go ahead and clap. Go ahead and clap. That's what's up. Go ahead and clap. So now we're at Act 3. Now, I got to say this before we get to Act 3. I heard somebody told me there's some folks here for some historical black college universities. If you went to an HBCU, make some noise. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, if you went to a college in California, make some noise. Whoa. If you went to a college in the Midwest, make some noise. If you went to a college in the South, make some noise. And if you like me and you on the East Coast, make some noise. Yeah. So here we go. Come to the stage. Act 3. Somebody say Act 3. Somebody say Act 3. Act 3. Act 3. Give it up. Former Obama staffer, now activist, comes to stage with OFA Group. Make some noise, really make some noise, for Ishmael Buckner! Come on, come on, come on. He a little nervous. Make some noise, make some noise, make some noise. Come on, come on.
Hey, Power Shift. Oh dear. I think shit's hit the fan. Should I keep talking or should I talk over him? Okay. So hey everybody, I hope everyone who's not yelling during while I'm speaking is doing well. Thank you. My name is Ishmael Buckner, and I was a former Obama campaign staffer who helped elect the president, which apparently upset some. But I'm here to represent what a lot of us have a vision for the president and for his administration. Oof. I'm not sure if they know I'm black. I fight white colonial bullshit for a living. So anywho, I'm here with some other former Obama staffers, and we're here to represent what our vision is for the Obama administration and for how we're going to force him to do what he needs to do for the environment. May of last year, in 2012, I graduated from Franklin and Marshall College. I majored in environmental issues. Thank you. I majored in environmental issues, and I knew that I wanted to start work that was going to focus in on how we could try and fight for better environmental issues, especially for communities who are most impacted. One of them being mine. So I started doing something that a lot of you are going to be doing soon, especially the ones who are still in undergrad. I started applying to organizations that were making the change that I wanted to believe in. That change? And for me, that was working for to re-elect the president. I was hired on as a field organizer in Henrico, Virginia. And as a field organizer, I spent over 90 hours a week going through registering people to vote, calling people, walking around and knocking on hundreds, actually thousands of doors in 90-degree weather, and organizing wonderful, amazing volunteers. There were long hours, there was a lot of sweat, and I'll admit there were a couple of tears. There was one night in particular where I was locked out of our office. I walked outside, my car was towed. It was pouring rain. When I was angry because my car was towed, I threw my keys into the grass lawn in front of our office. So the taxi who came to pick me up had to put on a spotlight so that I could see and find the keys. This was at 3 a.m. in the morning. I didn't join the Obama campaign for fun. I joined because I wanted to elect a president who I could believe in. I did it because I wanted to elect a president who would fight for the environmental issues that I and us and our generation care about. I didn't work 90 hours a week for the Keystone Pipeline. We did not elect him for the Keystone Pipeline. So this kind of reminds me of a scene from a TV show. Some of you might have heard of it. Scandal? I see you. So I'm not going to give any big spoilers if you haven't seen the show, but in the second season, Olivia Pope, the main character, strong, beautiful black woman, she's there and she's talking to a man who loves her, who wants her. He wants her support, he wants her love. And she looks to him and she says, "If you want me, earn me." I want you to think about that for a second. I think about that quote when I think about our relationship as youth, as the environmental movement with the Obama administration. I'm gonna say it one more time for the people in the back, any press interns at the White House who are listening. If you want me, earn me. But the problem is, life isn't a TV show. It's not that easy. I wish it was, but what we have to do is, we have to help the president. We have to help him become the man he's meant to be and the president we need. We have to push him. We have to push him to fight the Keystone XL pipeline. It's time to act on climate. This fall, we will speak out, we will act out, and we will demand a timeout on tar sands. Together, we will build a bigger and better climate movement than anyone the U.S. has ever seen. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the time is always right to do right. And Power Shift, it's time to do right. So here's what we have. I have a list of 4 things that I want you guys to help me out with. 4 things for you guys to do. The first one is to speak out. We need to spread the word on what the tar sands are and the Keystone XL pipeline. Most Americans have never heard of the Keystone XL pipeline. Most people, honestly, literally have no idea what tar sands are, and that's a problem. In his speech last June, in his climate speech last June, President Barack Obama said that he was going to make his decision on the pipeline based off of the climate impacts of the pipeline. Just in case, you haven't been listening this whole time, they're terrible. So we need to spread the word on that. Like Kendall, the wonderful, wonderful lady who was up here before me, she laid out some great points about the pipeline. Well, she laid out points about the pipeline and how it's horrible. We put that together and information is on our site. We want to spread that to you. Take it, use it, educate your friends, educate your roommates, educate your classmates, educate your mom, your dad, everybody you know. Go and tell them how terrible tar sands are. Number 2, we need you to host the Act on Climate event for a rally and a big International Day of Action that's going to happen on November 16th. Then when we're done with them, we're going to take them and we're going to plant them. We're going to plant them along the proposed route of the pipeline from North Dakota down to Texas. And it's going to be symbolic. It's going to be like planting the seeds of our economic and environmental prosperity as opposed to the archaic pipeline that they're trying to build. Fourth, I need you to be ready to reject the Keystone XL pipeline. The reason I'm saying I'm making that a point, even though it's kind of part of everything, the reason that in particular is because the Obama administration is going to have one final decision to come up, and they're going to either strike down the pipeline or they're going to say yes. The last time this came up, we got in over 1 million comments to tell him no, it didn't happen. The next time this happens, we need to get more than 1 million comments because we will make sure this doesn't happen. So I'm going to recap the 4 points for you that we have to do, that you all have to organize when you get back to your communities, to your schools, to your neighborhoods. Speak out and spread the word about tar sands. Create an Act on Climate event. Create the climate time capsules. And 4th, reject and remember to call out the Keystone XL pipeline when we call you. When we ask you to sign that petition, sign, pass it on to your friends, tell your friends to sign, pass it on to your mom, your dad, your cousins, tell everybody. And remember, we're the generation that elected the first Black president of the United States of America. We did that. We can stop a damn pipeline. Got a couple more points. It's about a couple more sentences, about 3. We can stop, that's not all we can stop. We can stop environmental injustices in every community in this country, especially ones on communities of color. That means every little Black boy and Black girl who lives in a food desert in every city in the US, we can stop that. We have to look out for our Native American brothers and sisters throughout First Nations in the Midwest, not just the Midwest, everywhere in the US. We have to stop injustice everywhere and anytime we see it. That is our role and our duty. And lastly, the last thing we have to do, well, maybe the first, we have to reject the use of fossil fuels. We have to stop it. That's what our generation has to do. We have to stop the use of fossil fuels, period. Thank you, Power Shift. And stay tuned for the video that's coming up. It's gonna be good.
And we have the Light Brigade here. The Light Brigade has been doing some amazing work. They were started out of Milwaukee and now have 30 chapters around the country. And they go on overpasses, they go everywhere to let this light shine. So the whole world can know what we stand for. I want to thank the Light Brigade so much for their activism. Before you leave, and I'm glad you're sitting, let me just take this moment. I'm actually taking my MC prerogative. As many of you know, my background, coming out of Louisiana, dealing with Hurricane Katrina, being a former Air Force officer who spoke out against the war in Iraq. Now, if you don't want a good career move, don't do that. Spoke out against General Petraeus and was, as many of you see on YouTube, was beaten in Capitol Hill fighting to end the war in Iraq. My ankle was shattered, and I just want to say that I appreciate the young folks earlier who were speaking out. I do. Because the chain is we can do better. But the key thing here, and I'm a little older than some of you, most of you are 80s, 90s, some of you might be like me in 70s or some 60s. I just want to say this right here. This battle we're fighting is a battle that none of you will probably see if we are victorious. It's a strange battle. If we stop this, the Keystone XL pipeline, the generations who aren't even born yet will thank us. So this is not the usual kind of thing where you have to have your voice heard, you gotta be important. You see me, I gotta show what I know, gotta give them, all that goes out the window for our movement. It doesn't matter, your degrees, your prestige, your money, this is a battle for humanity. So you gotta kind of get that in your head when you fight this battle. It's not about you, ain't about your school, ain't about your mama or your daddy. It's about fighting for humanity. And if we do this together, we will not lose. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. Give it up, y'all. Give it up. Make some noise for the Light Brigade. But now for that commercial break, the program shall continue. Y'all know routine. Come on, everybody on your feet, everybody on your feet, everybody on your feet. Come on, yo, hey. Come on. Make some noise, Paul Chef. Come on, make some noise. Yo, coming to the stage right now. Speaking of that, you heard my brother Bill McKibben earlier. Right? You know, I'm hip hop. Started out, thank you. Somebody said, yes. And y'all hip hop, you hip hop? All right. So I'm hip hop. And I tell you, when I first got into this movement, our movement does have some things. Sometimes we do have a segregated progressive movement. Sometimes when the police brutality movement can be all black, the gay rights movement can just be just all gay. The immigration community is all brown. So we do need to break those silos. Y'all agree on that? Okay. So this brother here shows me so much love all the time. So we gotta make some noise. So coming from New Jersey by way of the SC Sierra Club in the building, make some noise for the one, the only, bringing it forward. Come on, Mike Brune! Come on. Thank you, brother. Now that was a little awkward, but we're gonna keep it moving. Come on, make some noise over Mike, y'all.
How's the Reverend doing tonight? How y'all doing tonight? All right, so I'm Michael Brune. I'm here with the Sierra Club. Last night, for those of you who are here, I gave a little bit of good news about the progress that we're making on the 100% clean energy economy. Tonight, I've got a little more for you. President Obama has finally spoken up on Keystone XL. Think about how far we've come since the last power shift, just the last couple years. I think back to 2 years ago when 1,200 people put their bodies on the line to say no to the tar sands and for the first time bring Keystone XL to national attention. I think about all the farmers and ranchers, students and grandmothers in Nebraska and Texas, all across the country who met the president and the vice president at every stop and in every town and in every city until they came to expect us every single time they left the White House. I remember a few months ago when the vice president quietly told one of our activists, "I'm with you on the Keystone XL pipeline." And I remember 7 or 8 months ago when 50 leaders from the environmental movement, civil rights movement, indigenous rights movement all came together to participate in civil disobedience, which was the first time the Sierra Club had ever done civil disobedience in our entire history. And looking out at all of you reminds me of a cold day in February when 50,000 of us came together in the largest rally the largest rally so far in U.S. climate history. So all of this has led up to where we are now, where we have a chance at victory. Because as you know, this past summer, the president gave a historic climate speech at Georgetown University, spoke up on Keystone, and what he said is that he will reject the pipeline, as Bill talked about earlier, if it will significantly exacerbate climate pollution. That's the president's climate test. And as we know, as Kendall told you a little while ago, the results are in, and Keystone XL fails the climate test. So think about what we've done. In 2 years, we have turned something that was unstoppable. Unstoppable. It was inevitable, a tar sands pipeline that now is at best a question mark. And let's be clear, our movement is bigger than a pipeline. We don't need this pipeline. We don't need tar sands oil. We're working together for a day when we don't need any oil. You know, Ishmael's right. We have to work to push the president. We have to work to challenge the president, to support the president, to provoke the president, and ensure that the president does the right thing. But let's be clear, we are fighting not just to defeat the pipeline. We're not just working to defeat tar sands export terminals. We're not just working to defeat the tar sands and make sure that they don't expand. We're working to move beyond oil, beyond gas, beyond coal, beyond fossil fuels, and until we get to a 100% clean energy future. And so now it's the time to close out the victory. Now it's time to defeat this pipeline once and for all. And we know that the president will do this. We know he's going to reject the pipeline, and we know he's not going to do it alone. He'll do it because we helped him do it, all of us, because we made him do it, all of us. He'll do it because farmers and ranchers along the pipeline route stood up against a Canadian oil company, a criminal Canadian oil company, that tried to take their land and poison their water. The president will do it because Helen Winston from Nebraska won't take no for an answer. He'll do it because the families living in the shadow of refineries in Port Arthur and Houston, Texas, and Detroit, Michigan, now in Chicago, Illinois, and across the country are saying no to air pollution, to explosions, and to dirty pet coke that poisons our kids. But we're going to win. We will win because our grandmothers who fight for the tribes and their wildlife in Alberta and North Dakota and Oklahoma and across the U.S. We're going to win because Crystal is right. And deep in his heart, the president knows it, and so does the vice president. We're going to win because the sharing economy and the clean energy economy are bigger, they're better than the oil economy. And we're going to win because the president has seen tens of thousands of students. He's going to defeat this pipeline because he knows that there'll be tens of thousands of more students in every city, in every state, all across the country, and all around the world. We're not going to give up. We're not going to give up until the pipeline is defeated. We're not going to give up until the tar sands development shrinks rather than expands. And we're not going to give up until we get a 100% clean energy economy. Thank you.
Come on, y'all, give it up for Michael Brune. So, as we close this part, do you have the yarn? Do you have the yarn? Can we get some house lights real quick? Okay. So what you should do right now is that you should tie the yarn around your wrist. And while you do that, let's thank all the Sierra Club volunteers who cut all the yarn and put in envelopes. That's right. Their hard work, the young activists. So as you do that, so once it's on your wrist, I want you to do two things, actually. The first thing I want you to do is when it's on your wrist, let me just kind of just wave at me. You got it? Is somebody still okay, hold on. Put your hands down. We got somebody here still putting it on. Help your neighbor there. We got a concert here. We got to get moving. I want to get it going. All right. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is this. Let me be very clear. If I leave you with nothing, and I think if you leave today and this, I don't think this powership is not a conference. It's a lifestyle. It's a movement. So this is not really that. The key thing I want you to leave with this. There it is. I like that. Camera team was on their money here today. The thing I want you to leave, and this is real serious, our movement does not succeed without love. That's real serious. Our movement does not succeed. And when I mean love, I mean real love. Like, you really gotta love your fellow activists. You really gotta love those who are struggling on the Keystone Pipeline from Houston to Nebraska to Alberta. You really gotta love those who are struggling in Appalachian Mountains, to those who are in Detroit and Chicago and New Orleans. We gotta love one another. So that's the first thing. All right, so with that real quick, if you can just turn to your neighbor and give your neighbor a hug. Yeah, I sit. Say, I sit. And then say, I appreciate you. Okay. The hug can get out of, okay, hold on. The hug can get under control now. I said an activist hug. Y'all got some activist hugs. Y'all was hugging. I don't mind that either, but this is activist. This is, that's this. I appreciate you. The second thing is on your wrist is this rope, this yarn. And this yarn is really just to remind you that to do all you can, all you learned tonight in these 3 acts, to fight, to continue this movement to stop the Keystone XL pipeline. This yarn links us all together. So now, if you notice, before I've kind of put your hands up as a fist, so I want you just to grab your neighbor's hand. Grab your neighbor's hand. It's your neighbor. Grab your neighbor's hand. It's okay. Y'all been here, power shift. Y'all can grab your neighbor's hand. And put your hands up. Oh, I love y'all. That's it. Now, after me, say, we will not be stopped. We will not be stopped. We will stop the Keystone Pipeline. We will stop the Keystone Pipeline. We will stop the Keystone Pipeline. Now make some noise. It's time to party, y'all. It's time to party. It's time to party. Coming to the stage right now, all the way from Philly. Hold on, make sure she's ready. Make sure she's ready. Come on, yo. Make some noise for Philly. Cassie, be like Ford!
Oh, hey. You guys are a lot. How you guys doing? My name is Katsi Vilefan. I am a spoken word artist. Oh, you guys are into that? I was worried because I was like, I don't do music. I'm just going to be talking. I am part of a group called Yellow Rage, and we were on a show a long, long time ago called Deaf Poetry Jam. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Okay. So, yeah, that was us. Anyway, so I'm going to do some poems for you guys. You guys are, so normally, my partner is with me. Her name is Michelle, and we do, like, poems together. She's not here, so I have to do the poems by myself. Oh, yeah, you guys sit down. Go ahead, go sit down. Relax. So the first poem that I'm going to do is a mix of two poems that we normally do together. The first one, if you've seen the Deaf Poetry, is a response poem to some of the things that people like to ask us. And so the name of that poem is called Listen, Asshole. And then the second poem is called I'm a Woman, Not a Flavor, which is pretty much, I don't know, I think it's self-explanatory. I'm just going to go into it. Hey, that section's empty. So for this first part, I'm going to have you guys help me out a little bit because I'm really, really nervous. I'm trying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide you guys into 3 sections. You guys over there, you're one section. Raise your hands if you know who you are. Okay, cool. And then you guys in the middle are your own section. And then everybody else over there, you're that section. Okay, so people over here, repeat after me. What are you? Awesome. People in the middle, what are you saying? People on the end, are you going to tell me? Okay, so remember, the name of this piece is called Listen, Asshole, so you got to, like, say it with your inner asshole. Ready? All right, let's see. Let's see how you guys do. Ready? All right, I think we're ready to start. Listen, asshole, don't ask me what I'm saying in my native tongue. You want to know so badly, go learn it yourself. 20 years it took me to perfect the language my mother's and her mother spoke. 20 seconds it took you the nerve to ask what my sister and I spoke about. If I said I wasn't talking to you, why don't you stop bothering me all up in my business? How dare you step to me, invade my privacy, waste my time, and ask if I'm able to relay you the contents in my conversation? What nonsense is this? Do I look like your private translator? Nosy motherfucker. You probably thought dialogue centered around you, and you just wanted to make sure. Is that because you're paranoid and insecure, or just jealous because my tongue's got more skills than yours? Oh, so you want to learn how to say I love you and hello. Why you need to know? You think of me as some Asian hoe ready to turn around at your calls of, hey baby, annyeonghaseyo, annyeonghaseyo, or ni hao ma, I love you, China doll, please. Your bullshit doesn't impress me at all because my words were meant to be mentioned in a meticulous and mellifluous manner, yet your mispronouncing, manhandling mouth fucks it all up. My meanings misused, miscommunication, misconstrued to a misinterpreted, misspoken, mistake motherfucker that makes me mad, so you better have listened, asshole, and listen well. I'm a woman, not a flavor. I'm a woman, not a flavor, not the flavor of a woman. I'll knock the taste out your motherfucking mouth if I don't like your behavior. I'm not a flavor, I'm a woman. Ask me why I'm so defensive. I find your incentive so insensitive. Help make sense of this. You've concealed your cultural confiscation with racial toleration, claiming that you're embracing, and any interest taken is a form of learning and acceptance. But tell me, is it really learning when your teenager takes my eating utensils, twists them into her tresses, because, like, it's so trendy? Do you call it acceptance when you only open the chapter marked Asian history once a year just because it's multi-culti week? Can I accept it when you strive to tan yourself until you match the melanin in my complexion? Each tanning session, a lesson about your complex and your own skin tone or imperfection. Self-deception is a bitch, especially when it makes you susceptible to learn behavior unacceptable, so I find your ulterior motives disrespectful. Must think I'm a dummy to call it racial progress so you can make money. Pimping my culture to the rich and famous while we as people remain nameless. To be transformed into something fashionable, you try on your Asian exotic casuals at the mall, because my Asianness is not one size fit all, so take that fake shit off. I'm a woman, not a flavor. I'm a woman, not a flavor, not the flavor of a woman. I'll knock the taste out your motherfucking mouth if I don't like your behavior. I'm not a flavor, I'm a woman. I only got 20 minutes. Sit down. Yeah, that's my icebreaker. How you doing? So now that you know that I'm not, Chinese, Korean, or all the other above, I'll answer the question for you. My family is from Laos, and I usually like to do a poem about that because, people ask me, where's Laos? Or, so people from Laos usually say they're Lao, but then people go, what, loud, what? And then if you say you're Laotian, people go, oh, where's Laotia? So you have to, school them. So anyway, this is that poem. And the other thing I have to tell you is that Laos is actually pronounced Lao, the S is silent. I didn't know this when I wrote this poem. It's called Laos in the House. And had I known that, then I would have had to rename my poem and say it the way my parents say, which is Lao in the How. But we're not going to do that because, the words have to match and rhyme. So we're just going to leave it the way it is. Anyway, Laos in the House. You bring out the louse in the house. Are we okay? Can I start all over? Okay. You bring out the louse in the house. Not the Southeast Asian, not the French Indochina, not the Laos or the Laos, but the louse in the house. You bring out my best features, keep my hair dark and my skin tan. You bring out my taste for ginger and lemongrass. You bring out my affinity for elephants like the one tattooed on the back of my neck. You bring out my quest to find vintage stamps and iron-on patches of the Laotian flag so that I could almost literally wear my heart on my sleeve. You bring out a dislike for my long fingers that turned into a discovery that just means when I fawn, they say it's better than yours. I mean, I could teach you, but I have to charge. You bring out a part of me that says I don't like rice, but how can I be Asian and not like rice? Well, it's not that I don't like rice, I just don't like your rice. You see, what we have, sticky rice, the sweet kind that we ball into our hands to eat while sitting on floors enjoying each other's company, our food meant for sharing. That's why we call it family style. You bring out the spiciness in me, the part that makes me challenge you. Watch me finish what you couldn't finish, or like that one time when you let me cook dinner for your family and we were suddenly surprised by your sister's screams of, how come the mashed potatoes are burning my mouth? You bring out the bilingualist in me, the part that makes me teach you. You bring out the bilingualist in me, the part that makes me teach you Spanish, not because I prefer it to my own language, but because it gives me a sense of belonging to someone who is around. And I know that I am special because I hear your little brother tell your mother, Cassie's not China, she's from Laos. And I wish I could teach you how to speak like me, but it always ends up going something like this because Lao is a tonal language. Okay, this is the difference between the word salty and the word needle. Kim, Kim. Kim, Kim. Okay, moving on to phrases. This is how you ask somebody, where are you going? By sai. Say it with me, folks. Say it again. Okay, that first word, bite, is more like a cross between a B and a P. More B, more P. And that's why we're sticking to Spanish. And then feeling bad, you search the internet, find me images of Laos and links to YouTube of dudes rapping in my language that made me laugh, so I guess we're even. You bring out the stink test, the one where I make you smell the essence of nampa and badak, otherwise known as fish sauce and dirty fish sauce. If you don't know about dirty fish sauce, feel lucky. Pungent fish chunks marinating in their own salty, muddy, brown juices. The way it smells is a completely different poem. Dirty fish sauce, a fish sauce so dirty that you can only find them in unmarked jars hidden underneath kitchen sinks. Yes, that's how bad it stinks. I haven't gotten to the fried shrimp or crab paste yet, but there's an age-old saying that if it smells bad, it tastes good. But all I'm saying, if you can stand salty, fermented seafood products, then you are a good friend. You bring out the weird food references that make me feel comfortable enough to talk about, like an egg soup, fried grasshoppers, beef and raw blood sauce, and my favorite, fertilized chicken eggs. In Lao, we call it kailuk. In the Philippines, they call it balut, but on TV, everyone calls it that episode on Fear Factor. You bring out the comparisons that bring out the differences. Because if someone has never heard, there will always be the interest factor, the part that makes me foreign, or should I say exotic, because until now you've never known about Laos, which unfortunately brings out the ignorance in you, as well as a series of guesses that strangely always follows this order. Wait, let me guess what you are. Don't tell me your last name, because that is so easy. You're Filipino. No? Okay. I just met somebody from here. Hawaiian. You're Hawaiian. Okay, one more time. You look exactly like the hostess at this restaurant. You're Thai. No? What the fuck are you then? You bring out my authority, asking you why my identity has to be concluded in 3 guesses, and my answer to you is, I am from Laos, land of a million elephants. If you can't find that on the map, then you probably can't say my last name, nor can you make assumptions of my people. And no, I don't want to hear a random story about some person, place, or thing that might be where I'm from. And by the way, take off your shoes when you step into my house. You bring out my impatience, because I will not take Kathy, Cassie, or Cassidy as a substitute. It's Catsy. And so what if it was a mispronounced byproduct of my mother's native tongue, dancing with an American dream? She gave up half her life, traveled halfway around the world for this. So yeah, I do mind standing here for half a minute just because you can't get it half right. You bring out the louse in the house, and although it took so long to come out, by forgetting or just not thinking about me, you force me to remind you. But by referencing or just questioning me, you force me to remember myself. This poem is just as much about you as it is about me. Thank you. So while we are talking about our role in helping the world we live in, I just wanted to bring to light a thing that I'm, campaigning for, which is removal of the bombs in Laos. So just a short little story. Oh, you guys know about that? Oh my God. Everywhere I go, I have to tell the whole story, Anyway, the short story is that back in the Vietnam War, the United States dropped bombs in Laos, which is next door. And some of the bombs didn't explode, so now they're still embedded in the land, and the people that live there have to step on them and sometimes die. So if any of you are interested in that campaign, there's an organization in DC called Legacies of War, so check them out. The other campaign that I like to talk about is this epidemic of people writing really bad love poems. They seem to give us a bad rap. And I learned this when I took writing class, and so this is the poem that I wrote for those people in writing class. It's called Deep Love Poem. Please don't write me another love poem. I have no uses for them. What am I to do with these cliched verses in which you proclaimed your love, poured your heart out, obsessed yourself with another, publicized your sex life? I hate to be the one to tell you this, but they only call it deep because you end up swimming in it. So my boyfriend at the time really hates this poem. He said it's very mean, it's really nasty, but I really think that when you're in a relationship and you write love poems, your relationship thinks that all of your love poems are about them or should be about them. So I wrote a poem for my boyfriend. This one's called Spoiled. Isn't it enough for you to inhabit my thoughts throughout most nights in many a dream, throughout most days via many a conversation, in most problem-solving, critical thinking, mental activities which require my concentration, in most meditation, contemplation, recollection, situations which demand my concentration, that you should still want me to write a poem about you? So we broke up, and the actual poem that I was actually inspired to write about him, for real, was called, Hey Motherfucker, I Memorized Your Social Security Number. But apparently, this is illegal, and I am on probation. So I wrote another poem instead, and this one's called Ashamed. I have done things that I'm not ashamed of, but I know you might be. I've gone to bed without brushing my teeth. I peed in the tub before. I've also gone 3 days without showering. I took pictures of you when you weren't looking, sometimes while you were sleeping, sometimes while you were in the bedroom, and yes, sometimes while you were naked. I talked on the phone with you while taking a shit, and I didn't flush the toilet on purpose so that you wouldn't know what I was doing. I am so sorry you had to find out for yourself the next day. Once, I fell asleep when we were having phone sex. Once. And then once, I told you that when I really didn't. I also told you that I didn't when I really did, just so we can do it again. I've said mean things about your best friend, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, and almost your whole generation, except for Grandma, because Grandma remembered my birthday and gave me $20. I've bought things on your credit card which you're still paying for. I've checked your cell phone for incoming, outgoing, missed calls, as well as text messages that I felt that I should know about. I changed the password to your email, and just in case, I changed the answer to the secret question to change your password. After looking her info up on the internet, I went to your cheating ex-girlfriend's house and left a nasty note on the door a week before she got married. I also made you talk about the things that you didn't like about her, just so that I could record that in conversation and then play them back on her voicemail while she was on her honeymoon. What? I thought that she should know how you really felt about her, for closure. I've mentioned your social security number to a crowd of hundreds, maybe thousands. I'm not ashamed of all these things that I've done, but I am ashamed that I've never thanked you for still sticking by me after all we've been through. I have one more poem, and then I'm done. This one is about people who, okay, so like we do, the first poem that I did, like Listen Asshole and One Line Flavor, so that was written like 10 years ago, and even though the work that you're trying to do is trying to break like stereotypes and all that stuff, people still will look at you and then box you elsewhere. So then after a while, we became like the angry Asian bitches. And then, so people would only book us if they wanted like angry, They were like, oh, no, we don't want angry. We'll do you next year. The other thing too is that, in talking about race, you guys did a racism workshop today, right? Racism, classism, sexism, right? So the other thing too that I noticed, or that Michelle and I noticed when we talk about racism, especially as Asian Americans, that it's largely like a black-white thing, and so this is sort of our thing, because we do poetry, and sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's rhymes, and some people are like, oh, your English is so good, you're trying to be white, or like they'll be like, oh, you're like, sounds like you're rapping, you're trying to be black. So anyway, this poem's for those people. It's called, what is it called? Oh, it's called A Little Too Much. It's called A Little Too Much. And so here we go. This is also a poem that's supposed to be a group poem, so. You act a little too black. Could you be more of this? Could you be less of that? You seem a little too white the way you talk and walk. Is it just ain't right? Is it spoken word, poetry, or is it rap? So you found the features on my face, figured out my race. Now you think you know my race? What do you really know when you just met me? If I don't make your first impression, then don't second guess me. Your racial profiling obsess me, but I won't let it get the best of me. I guess you're trying to test me because you could have came correctly. Want to assess me directly, then get to know the rest of me. How insulting and disturbing the first thing you're observing is the color of my skin and what you think you know about it, like you think you know everything, like the chopstick clutch and the karate thrust, like speaking another language, that should be a must, like on-the-spot translations, that would be a plus. But at the same time, you're making a fuss like my English is too fluent or my attitude's too tough, like what you thought only your people did, like I'm doing too much. Like I give a fuck when you're not even Asian in the first place. You never were and you never will be. Why don't you listen, asshole? I still get called Americanized by Americanized because of my hairionizing and recognize the varying size, shapes, and colors. So American guys, so American lives. So others asking, you don't look American. So how come you got an American accent? Act like you got some sense since acceptance is of the essence. Since you can't reject my presence, since when should I be so kind to remind you to put this shit behind you? I'm not your CNI dog. I'm not your CNI dog, you blind fool, saying my eyes are small, but it's true they can't see. Too much white in your history's fucking with your mental. Okay, so you know we're not all Chinese. Why you still calling us Oriental? Maybe it's accidental. Maybe it's a joke confidential, or maybe it'll just be another accidental incident with accidentally knocked out dentures. Repercussion is consequential, whatever. Get over it. You still ain't been through what I've been through. It's 2013. I'm not getting into the midst of it. I'm not here to give you the gist of it. What you see is what you get. What you can't see, you'll never get. But they'll still keep telling me, you act a little too black. Could you be more of this? Could you be less of that? You seem a little too white the way you walk and talk. Is it just ain't right? Is it? So I'm nice with my words, so I fight with my words. So I find it absurd as the first time you've heard I'm angry and I'm Asian, because the occasion is you get away with saying you're all about equality when your philosophy is hypocrisy. Make oppression your obsession, just give the impression by making suggestions the life I live with is one full of privilege. Paint a picture of who I should be, what I should say, where I should sit. The back of the bus is calling me, but insist the front is where I fit. Then call the shots by proclaiming that what you do is called protesting and what I do is called complaining, when just yesterday we called it the same thing. A demand for respect, maybe that's as close as it gets, but what's the point in arguing over petty shit like who's more oppressed, been more oppressed, depressed from the stress, who deserves reparation and who deserves less? Well, Audre Lorde said it best, there is no hierarchy to oppression, no pyramid of pain pitting people against people competing for pity, what pity people have a price on pigs. No matter how you stack it up or break it down, it always comes around to the same old, same old. Somebody somewhere is somewhat uncomfortable with somebody else. Me, I'm comfortable with who I am, but you can check for yourself. So no, I'm neither black nor white nor black, but in a gray area called Asian America, just another mix to add to your race theory hysteria, because my English will always be a little too good for you, my eyes a little too round for you, my tongue a little too sharp for you, my strength a little too deep for you, my Asian a little too American for you. So no, I won't be more of this, and no, I won't be less of that. This is what it is. Get used to it.
How y'all doing, Power Chef? Can I get a big Power Chef out there? Power Chef! Power Chef! So I'm really excited. I have a really amazing artist coming right after. Her name is Yuna. She's really, really amazing. Her album is coming out next week, and the name of it is called Nocturnal. So I would like you guys to stay and float around. Mission.